Okay, so why are we here? And again, this is an open-ended question that we all have to ask ourselves. What is the most important thing that we can do as a parent? Obviously, the requirements of an elder in the church are to be the husband of one wife, have your household in order. And what does that mean? It really means that when we send our children out, that they're going to be that arrow that is shot out. As the children of the Lord are in the hands of a mighty hunter, are the arrows that are shot out to the target and hit the target. And if our children are lost in the way, what good is my life and all the things that I'm trying to do if my children, they go off and marry somebody and they just take a whole turn into the wrong path? And look around us. I mean, we have everything that is going crazy, from trans whatever to just whatever bizarre behavior that is being assaulted into our culture and onto our children. And what a more evil thing than death, metaverse. I mean, what death verse, Hebrew for, I don't know if you know what that means, but Zuckerberg creates this company called Meta, which in Hebrew, look it up, it means death. And anyone knows that if you're on TikTok or whatever, when do you want to give your children a smartphone, cell phone? When is the right time? When is the right time to give them a smartphone? And according to Josh McDowell, it's when you want them to start looking at pornography. So, yeah. And then we were just talking with somebody the other day who basically is walking away from the faith as a mature Christian, basically just having their hearts stolen and questioning just from from TikTok videos and I mean but what does it say at the end time? Don't be deceived. That is really the raw, hardcore. How do we train our children to stand up against all this stuff, get married, and then them have children? And that is why Abraham had this mantle that he is going to, like God says, I'm going to make a mighty nation out of him, and all the nations of the world are going to be blessed through him. Genesis 18. Why? Because he's going to keep his children in the way of the Lord to do justice and judgment. I mean, he has and what is the commandments? It is a multi-generational. Those that live righteously will be blessed to 1,000 generations. Who wants to be blessed to 1,000 generations? Those that hate him, they'll be cursed to the 4th generation. So all of these people that hate God are bringing down a curse on them. So we obviously don't want to have our children in any way sucked into the lies of this world, but yet operate in the world and be a light to the world. And so how do we do this? We do it through all these things that we're talking about. We're homeschooling. The one-room schoolhouse is probably the it was the foundation of our country. And what happens is we've gone to peer training, everything, through the Sunday school movement, which was not really a good thing. And we've gone from the children staying in the homes to them, 90% of them leaving the church at high school. Is everybody familiar with that? Does everyone agree with that statistic? So, and the people that are churched, 90% of them, 18 and older, as soon as they leave for high school, never come back, never walk into a church again. So that is that is what's going on in society. So what do we do with it? How do we counteract that? How do we do it? And what does the Bible say? Really, that's all that matters. That's why we start a church in our home. All I really care about is what the Bible says. In Malachi 4, it says, we need to teach the commandments, keep the commandments, and then turn the hearts of the fathers to the children, children to the fathers, lest the whole world fall under a curse. And the prisons are full of men that hate their father and love their mother. And that's pretty much the common unity of who's in prison and why they choose a life of malfeasance. So what the point is that God, to make a way of the coming of the Lord, he's going to send the prophet Elijah to turn the hearts of the fathers to the children to the fathers. So even for Christ to come, there has to be this turning of the fathers to the children and the children to the fathers. So that to me is one of the biggest things for me. It's just like we do everything together. We go voting together, we work together, we play together, we pray together. We do at least a Bible study once a day, sometimes twice a day, sometimes twice a week, just whenever we can. That is the most important thing that can happen under our roof. And yes, that is going to be the hardest thing to do because that is the most productive thing to do. It's going to be, Allison, like, oh, I got something else to do, or my children rolling their eyes, oh, I don't want to do this. Can you believe? Okay, it is the most important thing that we do as a family. And what is that? We're discipling our children. And it is homeschooling. We're teaching Bible. It is a course, we're just reading through the Bible. But the whole point is that I act it out in my life. I apply it to my life. They can see if I'm a hypocrite. There's nothing I'm going to hide from my children. There's nothing you're going to hide from your children. If you're doing it in secret, they're going to shout it from the rooftops. Right? Right? There's nothing you're going to hide. So if you want to change your children's life, look at yourself. If you want to have your child, living for Christ, you got to live for Christ. There's got to be a reviving in our hearts for it to come. And then we don't put them in Sunday school. We don't put them in all these programs in church. That's just giving them, like, you're not worth anything. This is a new thing up to the late 1800s. It's basically handing the mantle of rearing our children to a teacher, to a youth director, to a Sunday school, and it's telling, well, I'm too busy for you. You go be trained by your Sunday school teacher, your youth pastor. They were trained. They know better than you. No? No? You know what is going on in their life. And if you can be transparent and humble and be that example for them and want them, that is what we are as the church. We are the bride of Christ. And her and my relationship together is that example of who God is to them. And it's to inculcate this godly relationship through to our children, through our relationship, and through putting God in everything in what we do, in every aspect, in every possible way in our life. So that is my definition of homeschooling. I'm not sure what yours is, but I want to see my children's children in the Word, walking, all of them, not 10% of them. And how is that done? And I think the only way it can be done is through the power of God's Spirit, through faith. the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Through faith, just speaking that out, and then fighting for it. And I'll pass the mantle on to the next one.
So I think one thing that Daniel and I have, and some of you might be saying, what does this have to do with homeschool? Mm-hmm. So our goal is what? What are we raising? Children, right? You're not raising children. At least I'm not. I don't want a bunch of children in their 30s, right? We want to raise adults. I want to raise mamas, daddies, husbands, wives that are, going hard after God, that look different than the world. And I think one advantage that we might have over probably anyone in this room is we photograph 40,000 kids in this city every year, 4 times a year. I am seeing more than probably anybody in this town, we are seeing the fruit of public schoolers. We are seeing the fruit of Christian schools. We are seeing the fruit of homeschoolers. Homeschooling is not the end-all be-all. I know many homeschoolers who have left the faith, who have left their family. So again, you just have to ask yourself, what's your goal? If your goal is to just get them through 12th grade to where they're smart enough to go to any Ivy League school, they can pass all these SAT, whatever stupid testing that you want to throw at them, then that's fine. You will check that box. And there are people in this room right now that will help you check that box. And that is why we did this, so that you can meet people that are doing awesome in academics. That's just not our purpose of homeschooling. Now, do we school? Yes. I put books out just so you could look and see that we do school. No, I'm just kidding. We really do. We do master books, which is Ken Ham's program. We do teaching textbooks for math. We do, I just hired a tutor to come in 3 times a week to tutor. And then I also have, what else do we do? I don't know what else we do. We do a lot of things, but scholastically, academically, that's about what we do for bookwork, okay? Everything else you're going to learn from me, if that is not, if that's your priority, then turn your brain off. Because my passion is not. I graduated top of my class at Washington High School. Daniel has almost a master's from Physical Christian. Scholastically, we did well. But spiritually, we did terrible. I did terrible. I graduated, I had no interest in things of the Word. And honestly, Daniel was probably my biggest influence. But we wanted to do it, so we're doing this first generation, okay? We wanted to do it different because we're seeing what's out there. And I'm telling you, it's not good. We're not seeing young people come get their picture made that are sold out for the Lord, that have integrity, that have any sense of hard work. I asked my kids, my children this week, what should I tell these people? Like, what is something I've done well that you feel like you've actually gotten good stuff? And my 10-year-old said, well, teach us to work. I'm going to tell you a story about 3 guys, and they're my 3 son-in-laws. So I have 2 girls that married brothers, and their husbands are Cedar and Vision, and they live in Nashville. One lives here, and one's about to live here. They just married my girls. Their mom wrote Trim Healthy Mama, if you've ever read that book. If you haven't, you should. It's really good. And then their grandparents are Nancy and Colin Campbell, which is above Ruby's, if anybody's familiar with them. Serene, their mom, is probably the worst homeschooler you will ever meet. And I'm filming this to say that I can tell you, and she will agree, she is the worst homeschooler ever. However, her boys are the hardest workers that I've ever met. Ever. Now, that doesn't mean they can spell the word work, but I'm telling you, not only can they work, you will be paying them, if you hire them, $65, $80 an hour. That's what they're currently making, because they know how to work, and they know how to do everything. And if they don't know how to do it, they teach themselves how to do it. Their father is probably the best letting these children solve problems that I know. His name is Sam Allison, super quiet, doesn't talk much. They have 15 children, but I'm telling you, I wouldn't want my children around anyone else because his children know how to work. Josiah is married to McKenna, same story, came from 12 children. Diane herself will tell you she is not strong in the area of academics. But man, Josiah can fix anything. He can build anything. He photographed 70 schools with us. He picked it up like that. The guy is brilliant. But when it comes to book work, you look at it and say, there's no way that he's doing a good job. Guys, you've got to change your mindset. Look at what our competition is of children. And this isn't to dog all public schoolers, because there's some awesome public schoolers I'd rather have around my children than some of our homeschool friends. It isn't about whether you homeschool, whether you go to church, whether you go to Sunday school, it has nothing to do with that. Honestly, it has to do with this right here. Daniel Hartman is the biggest influence in our children's lives because not only does he have his children work, he's working with them. I had this revelation a couple years ago about raising adults. Because people always say, we're raising our children, we're raising our kids. And you probably won't hear us say kids, because we try not to, because they're children, right? But I kept thinking, we're not raising children. I don't want a bunch of 5-year-olds my whole life. That would be horrible. Or a bunch of 2-year-olds. No, I want to raise adults that are functioning. So how do we do this? I'm just going to briefly tell you. Moms, you can write this down. This is an Allison Hartman quote. Only do what only you can do. That's it. I literally do nothing in my house unless I'm the only one that can do it. Nothing. I don't do laundry. I rarely do dishes. I don't do housework hardly, unless it's my room, and I normally don't do that either. I don't. I now don't go grocery shopping. I literally haven't walked to my washing machine room in like 15 years. I have no idea what's back there, nor do I want to know. Why? Because I have children, and most of it's their clothes. But that's not the point. The point is not that I'm lazy or that I won't work, because of course, when my girls were little, trust me, I did all the things. But you're not, I'm going to try to say this super nice, but it's not going to come out nice. You are not doing your children favors by opening up their cracker wrappers. You're not doing them favors by going to Walmart and getting them all their school supplies. Why would you do that? You don't plan to use them. Let them get them. Well, they don't have a car. Well, guess what? Then that's what you do. Because you only do what only you can do. And that is, we apply that to every area of our lives. My youngest is 4. If there's things she can do, she's going to be doing them. I will not do them. If they're 8, they are doing 8-year-old stuff. And most of my 8-year-old stuff would not be maybe most people's 8-year-old stuff. But I challenge you to up your bar. I see mamas like, oh, honey, let me call and see, when you're supposed to be blah, blah, blah. They can call somebody and do that for themselves. How do you expect them to be adults if they've never picked up the phone and called customer service? So I don't call customer services. I don't shop. I will sit in my car and send my kids in with my American Express card, but I am not going to go do it, because how are they going to know how to do it? And so we apply this in every area, especially homeschooling. Why would I sit there and call out a spelling list when my other child, who can read letters, could check and see if they did it correctly? There's so many things that only moms can do. So what am I, the only thing I can do? I'm the only one in this house allowed to be on the internet, except my husband. Okay? Because we don't do internet with kids. We don't do anything with digital at all. We have a little broken tablet that you can barely see the screen, and I downloaded teaching textbooks because I'm telling you, I will just be honest with you. As I'm on TV right now, I'm thinking, what am I thinking? But it is so dangerous. If you're giving your children unfettered access to the internet, please don't be shocked when they go from a YouTube video on CC memory work to this, and then like the 5th step in, they're looking at full-on pornography. Because it happened to us. And it started with a fishing video, and then a fishing video with a bikini on, and then a fishing video. Does that make sense? I'm sure y'all are aware, but if you're not, I'm telling you, please be encouraged to throw all devices. That day I took that Kindle, I threw it away, and I called Rebecca and I said, send me all DVDs, we'll just go old school. Because it's not worth it. My children's purity in their heart means way more to me than if they follow Becca's schedule of school. It doesn't matter to me if I lose my kids. You know, if they're back in their bedroom looking at pornography and I'm thinking they're doing math, I've just lost their hearts. So anyway, so we're really big on that. As far as what our day looks like, like Daniel said, we integrate our children in everything. If you want to teach them how to run a business, let them run a business. And don't just pretend like you're letting them run a business. Meaning you do all the things for them, you write the menu for them, you make sure they're spelling all the words correctly. No, let them embarrass you like my children have embarrassed me. They show up at the market and they misspelled like every word they're selling. It's okay. They're 10 and they didn't know how to spell meringues. It doesn't matter. You walk by and you go, hey, you spelled it wrong. Fix it. You know? You don't have to stress. All this, you know, I know everybody's got different personalities. We've got A-types in here, and I guarantee you, you A-types probably already have all your curriculum color-coded, alphabetized, and matching bins, and that's okay. I can be friends with you. I'm just never going to be like you. But that doesn't mean that she's wrong. There's going to be people that are unschoolers, right? And they literally just throw school to the wind, and they're like, I don't care. Okay, that's fine. But, you know, don't expect your child to ever be able to write a sentence. I think there's got to be some balance, and I think that's what we have found. Yes, we do 3, 4, or 5 hours of school, but then we live life. And if we are photographing a school, and we've got 4 cameras running at one school and 4 at another, that's 8 cameras. I need 16 employees. You better bet that half of them will be Hartmans. And then 12 and under will be babysitting, and the rest will be working. And that's just what we've done. So you might say, well, I don't have a business. Well, start one. You know, Ecclesiastes says, divide your substance to 7 parts, even to 8, because you don't know what evil's going to come upon this earth. Maybe like letting a mailboxer take out a woman. I mean, that's evil, right? We can all agree to that. Well, more things are coming. And so if we don't have our eggs in many baskets, we're gonna be hurting. So we have like 8 streams of income. We have an Airbnb, we have the market, we have photography, we have equipment, and that's our goal for our children. Anything I do, I put it to a business. That would be perfect for you. That would be perfect for you. And the other thing I do is I let them fail. I let them fail. Because if you don't, and you just always bail them out, and they're getting in trouble, or they haven't sold anything. One of my funniest stories is we were at a market one time, and Asher was selling vanilla. And I walked by, and I was like, hey, buddy, how'd you do today? He's like, I didn't sell anything. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And I told Daniel, and I was like, Asher didn't sell anything. I'm so bummed, because you know, I'm here, and I'm supporting all my vendors, and my son didn't sell. And he goes, awesome. That's awesome. You know, if you don't have a bunch of no's, then you're not even going to appreciate a yes. I just saw McKenna's face, and I was thinking I need to share with y'all. So again, this is going to make every one of you guys feel so amazing. We're going to throw McKenna under the bus. No, I'm going to throw myself under the bus. When I said in my post about tonight, you're going to be encouraged, because I'm going to tell you what I wish I had known. I wish I had known this stuff. I wish I had known what really matters. So McKenna, when she was 5, she was our first child, our guinea pig, and we were going to try to do all the things right. And so we went to Rebecca, and we bought all the stuff. Actually, she went to West Florida Baptist for a day, and then I looked at my rearview mirror, and she's chasing me down the road. So I turned around and got her, and we've never done school after that. But anyway, the point is, she couldn't read. She is and was and will be dyslexic for the rest of her life. No, I won't claim that over you. Maybe one day you'll break, right? But she just was, right? I was so frustrated. Lisa Diller, we've been friends for a long time. She can tell you. I don't know what to do. Barton and this and that curriculum, and we've spent so much money, and fix it, make it work, make her read, because it's embarrassing if you don't have a kid that reads. Well, guess what? She didn't read until she was 13. Don't feel sorry for her. She's making $120 an hour teaching swim lessons. She's doing fine. She didn't get schooled at all hardly well, but she's doing great because I didn't focus on academics the way most people are thinking school, homeschooling. So most of you, I'm assuming, and I could be wrong, but a lot of people assume that homeschooling should mirror public school. Get that out of your mind. It couldn't be any further than the truth. Guys, just do life. Live your life. Dads, if you have a business, bring your sons with you. Moms, start a business. Bring your daughters with you. And then do school in between. Just do school.
Or do you start a business out of your home?
Yes, start a business. Come set up at the market. Even if they sell nothing, it's worth the $15 vendor fee because your children are standing there talking to adults. I have young children that are better salesmen than most of you guys in this room, and they can talk to people more confidently than most adults I ever meet. My 10-year-old can sell you anything. She's so cute, but she's so confident. She doesn't care. She has no fear because we've had lemonade stands since she was 2 years old. We sell, what are those, Skepinons on the side of the road since they were babies. Hartman sell anything. But it's not because of the money. I don't care. I see none of it. In fact, it never works out for me. I always spend more than they make. But like this coffee shop tonight, all you guys, y'all just paid for all the paper products that I bought for it tonight. And I probably won't even get reimbursed. But see, I don't care about all the details, and I'm not a detail. I want a big picture. And so another advantage I think we have that I felt like I could bring to you guys is I have a 25-year-old and a 4-year-old. Meaning, it's not too late for me, right? I'm going to do it all better with Salem. No, I'm not. I'm going to do less schooling with Salem. Because now I'm seeing what the fruit of having a strong father, having devotion every day together, every other day, or whatever you can do. Don't stress about that everyday thing and write that down. It's great. It's a great rule of thumb. Don't stress about it. So the beauty is I can look at what I did well with McKenna and what I did really bad with McKenna. What I did really bad was I would sit there and I would literally, all of y'all are going to judge me, I would spank her if she didn't focus and read when she was 6 years old. Guys, that's insane. Like, it's seriously ridiculous. Mennonites, do you know when they start school? 7. They don't start school till they're 7. And then guess when they quit? 16, when they legally can. We have so many Mennonite friends, and we have 2 Mennonites that work for us, best employees. They haven't had the 5-year-old all the way till 18. You know, my boys are 18, 16, and 15. And minus maybe my 15-year-old, the other 2, you know what? Levi's just turned 15. He's been running a skid steer the last few months because we're building a huge pond. And you probably look at Levi and be like, he's so behind. I mean, he's in like hardly no school, but you know what? He can run a skid steer, okay? How much do people make that run a skid steer? And there's so many other things that he can do. And we do school with him, but it is not something he loves. And so I would be abusive to him if we made him sit there 8 hours a day. He'd be miserable. Because all he wants to do is, you know, he sold moringa tablets last night at the market. Actually, he didn't even sell them. He sold it. He had his brother sell them because he was on a skid steer. Does that make sense? So he's delegating already. You know, every time my kids come to me with a problem, my answer is always figure it out. I'm not solving your problem. And that is something I learned from Sam, Vision and Cedar's dad. He would always say, I guess the grandfather would say, a good man's never stuck. And that is something we got to learn. Let your children figure it out. What's that?
I was just going to add, rethink college. And what I mean by that is you really need to fine tune the direction. You know, kind of like the verse as a hand, as an arrow in the hand of a mighty hunter. So the children, your children, let your quiver be full of them. So what we're really doing is seeing what our children are suited for. And when it comes to college, very few people that I know that have gone to college, I mean, lately it's just everyone's gone to college and lost their faith. I mean, become a lesbian or homosexual or just some deviant craziness. And that is not why we're wanting to send our children to college.
And let me, can I add about where we were at? So we both have, I have a bachelor's, he has a master's.
Degree,
so we have education, we in fact,
Bible engineering.
when we started having children, his rule was, I will not pay one dime of their wedding until they have a bachelor's.
Yeah,
and he was absolutely adamant about that. Well, one Sunday afternoon, that changed our lives. So something he always says is ideas have consequences. So I'm hoping we're giving you some ideas.
Well, and consider the cost of doing college. And can you, Doug, go over Tyler's cost of doing college?
Come around here and come up here. That's a great idea. So while I was coming up, can you tell about the time where McKenna kind of was planning on going back and why we changed?
Well, I'll start with this. Just like she's saying, start at 7. I mean, some children you want to start at 3. I mean, it just whatever their bent is what you want to do. And I think it's up to this kind of one-room schoolhouse scenario to actually see the bent that your child has, and then change course according to that bent. But I mean, unless they're going to a trade school, unless there is a purpose, like I could think of Johnny Graham is going to be a mechanical engineer, and he's working at an engineering firm right now, doing engineering. So I mean, unless you have a 100% purpose, and they're just going to find themselves, they're going to lose themselves. And what is the cost of going to college? The cost of going to college is...
Okay, so just like Dan said, college is important. If you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer, you got to go to college, right? But it's the people who, I'm going to go to college and figure it out, those are the folks that get in trouble. You got to have a plan. If you showed up at a car dealership and were like, I need to buy a car, you're probably going to spend more money than you want to spend. Your money to get ripped off. So you just need to have a plan. My son Tyler has a whole speech about this. It's excellent, and I'm going to probably butcher it, but there's some statistics that are just mind-boggling where people going to school and never getting a degree, the numbers are astronomical. It is absolutely a money-making proposition. Universities are. So again, they're not evil. I'm not saying they're bad. Some bad things definitely happen there, and it happens at higher rates than you would think. But it may be necessary to do that. Opportunity cost of college. Let's just say $40,000 a year of tuition, right? So 4 years, so that's $160,000. If you don't go to college and you spend those 4 years working at a job, making $15, $20 an hour, like, first of all, you're not $160,000 in the hole. 4 years later, you have that experience, and then you also have that money. So if all things being equal, you're going to college and you're living at home. If you are having a job at a young age, you're still maybe living at home. So your cost of living is roughly similar. You got to drive to college, you got to drive to the job, you got to eat. So those costs are kind of a wash. After 4 years, you're coming out of that job with a whole lot of money and experience in your pocket and some actual guarantees versus being possibly in significant debt with maybe no guarantees coming out of college. So that's the gist of it. Just count the opportunity cost of college because it's definitely not free and it's definitely more expensive than the tuition.
And your son got a full ride. He could have gone to college completely.
And he chose not to.
But why? What is he doing now?
So Tyler's a certified arborist. He works in our family business, and I get the privilege of working with my boys, and it's absolutely awesome. I love it. So I have 4 sons and a daughter. My daughter works for some photography company in town here. They're pretty good. But I work with all 4 of my sons, and so they're seeing dad respond to stresses and seeing dad respond to people that walk up to the job site that are maybe mean, or people that need the Lord, or whatever it is. So like, my sons are always there. So there's no hiding the truth, and I just get to live life with them. And so like, that's a huge part of their education. And I have no doubts that my sons can fix machines, they can tie down a load on a truck, they can operate a truck safely, they can operate a machine safely. They have a good head on their shoulders. Do they all know the state's capitals? Like I've been, no. If they don't, I don't know either, I'm sorry. But that may be your kid's thing. My oldest son Tyler is very academic. He loves books. He loves that kind of thing. It's his kind of, it's a whole other side to him. So he's a certified arborist. He has credentials. He's the youngest certified arborist in the entire world, which is pretty cool. And he knows trees, and he sells tree work, and he operates machines, and he runs a crew when I'm not there. And he's 19.
So $160,000 in debt potentially, plus or minus, depending on the college. You go to Harvard, all you're going to learn how to be is a one world order WF. Lose your soul to the devil, literally, and that's the best school you can send your child to according to the world standards. Total joke. Like, what are people thinking to even want to go that route? Whereas if you have you're working and you're saving, when you are going to graduate from college, buy a house for your wife and your children. I mean, and start a business and make all the mistakes when you don't have little children looking at you, needing money and a roof over their head.
And again, this is just us, but this takes a lot of pressure off of, I need 2 credits for science and 5 credits for... No, you don't. I can tell you that because I've done it. They never took McKenna's birthday away. She didn't have any of those certain credits. I just wrote them down and Elisa signed off. No, okay. All right. That's
Not true. We're not that bad.
But she didn't have probably all the things that state of Florida. I don't give a rip what state of Florida says I need. I don't care. So
you don't even have to.
You don't have to legally. The problem is there's so much misinformation about homeschooling that is why I wanted you to be here, because I wanted you to see people like the dogs and like Elisa Dillard and like several I'm about to point out, because I want you to say, I have somebody now I can call and say, how important is this? And it really only matters how important it is to you guys. Because what's important to Hartman's doesn't mean it has to be important to you. So I actually wrote this down. Best rule of homeschooling, best rule of parenting, stop comparing. Don't look at my life and be like, I want to be, you don't want the life of sometimes of the Hartmans. It's crazy. Most of you would be drawn to drink. I mean, you would literally, like if you saw just our day today, you would literally probably head to the bar. I mean, it's insane, but it works for us. So what I'm saying is don't say, I want to be like them. No. I want to be like Christ, and I want my kids to be sold out. But I will say, the dolls are what made me think of this. We have intentionally chosen a community for our family. They don't exist. There is not a strong community if you just stay in your house and you just go to your church. It doesn't exist. And I can tell you that because I have teenagers now. I have 3 teenage boys that are super good looking and super cool and super sportsy. And they would die if I just forced them to go to co-ops and meet people just at church. They don't want that. They want to meet people while they want to play volleyball or play softball.
And so we've created basically a draw for like-minded people to come with their children. And like the Above Rubies conferences, we're not doing it for us, we're doing it for our children. Why? Because from around the world, there's people that are like-minded that are coming, that our children see that they're not alone, that they're not going to settle for kind of a half-hearted spiritual growth spouse. Does that make any sense? So if what they're seeing is just super high spirituality, focus, walking in the Spirit, and that's what they're seeing in their friends. It's not going to be the blind leading the blind, and they're both going to fall in the ditch. It's going to be iron sharpening iron, even at a young age, and they're going to be passionate for Christ and brothers and sisters in Christ that are really going to have a purpose to go out to the world and make a difference.
And it's only 3 times a year, and it's in Panama City. So obviously, how do we do that? Well, guess what? Look around you. This room is full of friends that I've met at Above Rubies, and now we are literally doing life with. Mary Lou Graham, raise your hand. So we met her. They have 7 children. They live in Orlando, and we started going to these conferences with them. Well, now my boys are their best friends to their boys. Their daughters have been in my daughter's weddings. Some of their sons live at our house to play volleyball just about every night. They moved to Pensacola because we were here, because they didn't have any other good, solid families to do life with, and they thought, well, they did, but they all voted on Pensacola. The Dolls, we do a worship night at their house every Wednesday night in their enclosed porch, and there's literally families from every church possible. It has nothing to do with the denomination. It has to do with, I want my young people to be around other people that are sold out, that have no problem being confident to say, not only am I a Christian, I'm going to live like it. I don't talk trash. I don't look at trash. And are my kids going to encourage your children in Latin? No. No. But you can't watch my Asher praising God on Sunday with a leg that he can't even walk on, but he's jumping on one leg, and not say that that's not going to change your kid. Y'all tell me what youth group is out there that has that. It doesn't exist. I'm telling you, we've gone to every church in this town, and that's why we started a home church, because I didn't want my children to settle and see, what the world youth groupers are doing. Now, that is not an absolute. Yes, there are sold-out Christian young people in youth groups. I'm just saying it was super hard for us to.
Well, again, what does the Bible say? The Bible, every time that the church is mentioned on the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus didn't say, "Oh, let's go to Sunday school. Let's go to this program. Let's go to that program." When Joshua was, on the Mount of Blessing and Mount of Cursing, he didn't say, "Well, let's kind of get our programs. We got our Alcohol Anonymous over here. We got our, Young Marrieds over here. We've got." No. Every time that there was a church service, they sat around like with Jesus in groups of 50, and they did church, right? And they ate together, and they had fellowship. In the early church, they met together in their house every day. So really, it's just, again, what is our focus? Do we really believe God? Do we really have faith of who God is? What does the Bible say? What focus is that? That is just simply kind of this one-room schoolhouse scenario, and the business, the family business. There's not a single, other than maybe Joseph. What patriarch didn't have a family business? But he ran a country. That was, I'm sure he had his children helping him do that. So, Jesus was a carpenter. So, the idea is to have this top-down structured discipleship scenario going on, being able to meet your child where they're at and build their strength.
So I promised you seasoned schoolers, and you're probably going, "You tricked us. You're not even seasoned." Well, I am, but I'm not focused on the schooling part. But the reason I had some moms here tonight and dads that are seasoned is because, again, our way of doing things may not not appeal to you. You know, you might want to be the check the boxers, and that's fine too. I encourage you to really consider, you know, the whole picture. What are you raising? Because, you know, some of you just have littles, and you don't even know what I'm talking about right now because yours are still little. And you can literally tell them what to do and what to read and what to wear. But I'm telling you, they're not going to stay that way. Look around. They keep growing, and they have to be able to make good decisions on their own. But I'm going to point out a few people, and while I'm thinking, if I texted you, be thinking kind of what would your advice be to these families? How many of you guys are brand new at homeschooling, like next year's your first year? Raise your hand, high school. Let's see. Okay, see, that's a lot. Yay! That's a lot. You know, and when we first started homeschooling versus now, it's insane. I mean, there's just every resource for every subject you could imagine. It was not like that. And no, we did not start homeschooling for the money. Not yet. I haven't seen it yet. That's not our goal. But that doesn't mean I'm you know, poo-pooing the scholarship. In fact, I've got somebody here that's going to kind of answer any questions that you guys might have. My goal is for you to have a community that you can say, okay, I can go to them for this and them for this, and forget what that one said because that doesn't work for us. That's my heart. So I'm going to kind of pinpoint a few people. One last thing I didn't mention is something I'm super passionate about, and that is, you know, not just teaching children to work, but to work hard. Eric Hovind came and spoke at our conference one time, and he talked about 4 different kinds of workers. So as you're preparing your schooling, be thinking of this. So the number 1 worker, that is somebody that is going to always find what needs to be done and do it. You don't have to ask them, right? You can probably think in your head right now of somebody. I am very much a number 1 worker. I walk in a room, I see what needs to be done, and I just make it happen. Then there's the number 2 workers. They're great to have as secretaries. They will do exactly what you tell them to do, and you don't have to look back, you don't have to ask them twice. They're also awesome employees, awesome workers. We need both in our world, right? The bosses and secretaries. Then there's the number 3 workers. I had several of those today, cleaning my house. They were my children, and I had to literally find them. Once I found them, they would do the job. When I'd look away, they would turn around and they would go do something else, because they had friends here cleaning too. Yours were great, by the way. And then there's the number 4 worker, and they will be standing on the street corner holding a sign begging for a free beer. And so ask yourself, which kind of worker do you want to homeschool? I want to homeschool a bunch of number 1s. And some are just going to be bent towards number 2s. Their daughter is the best number 1 worker I have in her studio, and she's amazing. She's, what is she, 18, 17? She's 17, and I can speak for them. They're just as bad at homeschoolers as we are. So, no, actually, they're a tad better. When I say that, it's kind of a joke. Some of you new moms are like, what does she mean by that? It just means that we don't follow the rule book that State of Florida gives me. I have never been in a box, and I never will be. In fact, the reason that we pulled McKenna from college, she was going her first year, I sat in a room with some of the most influential people in my life. One was Serene Allison, who wrote Your Lovely Mama, who has made millions with this book with her sister. Her brother owns the Newsboys Christian band, right? Her mother, who had these children, and then Zadok, who's just on fire for the Lord, wackadoodle. Awesome guy. And they said to me, why would you make her go to college? She had done 1 year at BCC, and she was so not fitting in. She felt like she was on the Truman Show, like, this is fake life. Like, nobody, is anybody seeing what I'm seeing? Like, none of this really happens in real life. Nothing to say negative about BCC. Actually, I have plenty to say, but I won't. But I was like, why am I forcing her? Oh, I remember, because Daniel said, I won't pay for your wedding. And then we just decided, all these people in our life who have successful children, like billionaires, okay? Like, their son owns the Newsboys, like, brought him from Australia. He's killing it. Serene and Pearl, they're doing great. All their children are successful. I'm like, none of them went to college. And so that was it. And I said, we're done. We're not quitting, we're pivoting. And that's what I want you to think about tonight. if you're even like, I have so much curriculum, and I have so many highlighters, and I have so many colored pens, and I had it all together, and the scroll just messed my plan. Well, guess what? Ideas have consequences. Pivot. Go after your children's hearts. Don't worry about whether they know their states and capitals. So that's what I want y'all to get from my heart. It is fun to know your states and capitals. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is have a few come up. The ones when I call you up, just share from your heart what is your biggie. Like, what can these people walk away with? As a brand new homeschooler, what do you think they should focus on Monday morning when they start school? So Christy, jump up because you're closer. And then Mary Lou, I'm gonna call you next. And Elisa, I'm gonna call you next. Catherine, I'm gonna call you next. Lisa, Curran, and Kimberly, and whoever else I might think of. So speak.
The number one thing I can encourage you with is not to rush through life in order to get to school. And what I mean by that, especially for those with youngers, is sometimes you plan out your day and you're pushing them all aside so that you can have the moment where you sit at the table so that you can look like the picture in the curriculum book that you ordered. And that is no part of reality in any stage of life. So my encouragement to you is if you can teach your children how to love, which is picked up through modeling, not in any textbook, you can teach them to accomplish anything. And so doing that, you will destroy that by rushing through your morning. When you're cooking breakfast and you're thinking to yourself, okay, we need to do X, Y, and Z, I have planned it out, whether it's highlighters or even if it's a little bit more loose like our life tends to be. A mistake I made early on was going through those things, pushing them out of the way, getting them done, and then sitting. And they wanted nothing to do with me because they felt that. So learning, if you are modeling the classroom and bringing it into your home and calling it homeschool, there is absolutely no difference. Absolutely no difference. There's not even a point in homeschooling. In fact, your relationship would probably be better off if you sent them and were fresh and excited and had a zeal for life in your husband if you're going to do that. Bring them home, love them well, and what that means is you will be able to love when you're not impatient. You're impatient when they're in the way. You're not in the way. So while I do some things that maybe I could delegate to them, half the time I just want to model how to do that with a joyful heart.
Good. Very good. So the dolls own these trees. They have 5 children. You can come on up. And super awesome friends of ours. So they would be a great resource. Get their phone number. They're doing the deal. I would not have them up here if they did not have the household in order and they don't have fruit. Does that make sense? So this is who you really should listen to right here. This is Mary Lou Graham.
Hi, my name is Mary Lou. I'm 7 children, and I'm in the very sad position to me of I'm just finishing homeschooling. So all my 7 children from kindergarten all the way to 12. They all have completely different personalities. They all have completely different giftings. Someone will ask me, what math curriculum did you use? And I can give you probably almost 7 different answers. Because one of the advantages of homeschooling, and this is why I felt the Lord wanted me to encourage you guys when I'm praying for you today, is to understand and remember and be reminded, and I'm going to speak against the world, that your children are a gift to you. They are a gift. And when we give someone a gift, we don't want them to take that gift and set it on the shelf and go about our lives. What do we want them to do? If I have worked and I have labored and I have spent 9 months with my own hand making something to give you, I want you to enjoy that gift. I want you to sit and enjoy that gift. I want you to be thankful to me for that gift. I want you to notice the details that I put in. I want you to be amazed as month after month and year after year goes on and you find out, oh my God, there's more to this gift. It wasn't just this baby, but now it's someone who loves to run, and oh my goodness, this child loves soccer. I've never had a soccer player in my family before. I've never learned soccer. I didn't know it. But you know what? I can learn soccer. I can learn because I'm a mom of a soccer player. So therefore, I will get in and I will learn about soccer. I will yell, and Allison and I will be the loudest moms yelling out the sideline in sports. But that's the thing that we need to remember. And the world will try to tell us that our children belong to someone else, to the doctors or to the teachers or to the community or the village or whatever. But God worked on that child for you. And I'm speaking to parents that have adopted children, and I'm speaking to parents that have foster children too. I have an adopted grandson whom I adore, and my daughter has lots and lots of foster children, and they're precious. So I am saying these children are gifts, and to have the confidence and to know. And I get lots of thank yous from my children. I'm very blessed. They're very thankful to me for homeschooling them, super thankful. But some of the most moving thankfuls I get, the most moving thanks I get, are from my children that struggle. And that's the thing I want to encourage you. If you have any of you here have children that are struggling with school, and it's just really difficult, and you're like, 2 + 2 is 4, right? Yes. 2 + 2 is 4, right? 2 + 2 is 4. Okay, honey, what's 2 + 4? I don't know. You know what? That's all right, because I've had several that struggled academically. And I want to tell you what the Lord said to me clearly. That child, the child that seems to struggle, has the exact gifting that he or she needs for the calling that's on their life. They don't have the gifting for the calling of this other person. They have the gifting. That was up to God to put the talents in there. It was up to God to put the gifting in there, to put the strengths in there. All right? Our job is not to remodel our children to what we want our children to look like and to make us look good. Our role is to look and see, this is my gift from God. What did God make for me? Okay, this child has this strengths. I'm going to encourage those strengths. I'm going to help those strengths. I'm going to work hard so those strengths are God honoring, so they're submitting their strengths to the Lord, so they will change the world. But they're not going to change the world with my strengths. They're going to change the world with their strengths. And where they're weak, I'm going to sit there. And I don't have anything more important to do than to read The Cat in the Hat 10 times. I have nothing more important to do. And I had to say that to myself over and over. I love to do lots of things. I like to learn. I like to read. I like to do all sorts of things. But you know what? I said to myself, I want to sit on the couch and read The Cat in the Hat 10 times. I am proud that I have it memorized. That's a good thing. And as a mom who's done with that season of life, I will tell you 100%, I do not regret one time that I stopped what I was doing and I spent time with my children. And I want my children to get my best. And I don't regret it. And I do it for them, and I do it for the Lord. And that's my encouragement.
I'm gonna tell you a little bit about Mary Lou though, but just because all of us, most of us are kind of strangers. Like Dina's like, who's going to our house today? I have no idea. I recognize a lot of you. You've either done your pictures or whatever, but I seriously don't know half of you. In fact, I guess it's kind of scary, right? If your address out there for the public, but it's good. I want nothing out of this. Like, somebody said, what are you charging? Really? No, like there has to be just some pure encouragement out there because you're just not getting it from the world. But somebody like Miss Mary Lou, like you have no idea what she's produced, okay? So the reason I said you really need to listen to her because her children are amazing. They're amazing. I don't go anywhere without one of her children just walking up to a stranger, hey, is there anything I can pray for you about? Every single one of her children do that. Their daughter Katie, I asked her one time, what's your favorite thing to do as a family? She's like, we go evangelizing. I'm like, seriously? No, they are such the real deal, but they have produced 7 children. But they have 7 adult children, but they have kept all their hearts. And that is probably one of the most rare things. I pray I will be in her shoes. And I'm not obviously even close to being done. I'm still nursing, but you just totally judged me because you're like, yeah, I am, and I don't care. And I'll probably nurse her till she's 10 because that's probably my last. No. I want to say, when I'm done, where Mary Lou is, not only, and her children are brilliant, actually. They were Bible beers. They were, Johnny, her son's going to engineering school. He's amazingly brilliant scholastically. Like, she's done a great job. But beyond that, I don't even think you care necessarily about that. Beyond that, she has her children's hearts, and they're not living for the world, and they're 18 and up. Guys, that's like, go sit down and say, how did you do it? All right, this is Elisa Dillard. So she's not only just an evaluator, a homeschool evaluator, she's also a sweet friend. I love her. I love her marriage. I love her and her husband, watching them together. In fact, they've come to our Love Ruby's retreats. We've known her forever. But I just thought it would be great for you to have eyes on someone who is a believer, who is a homeschool mom, who's also somebody you can come to for evaluations. She's not here because she's winning customers. She doesn't need customers. But she's also a great resource. She's tutored my children in reading. She's amazing. So what's your biggie? What would you share?
I have a lot of things, but y'all already talked about it. I think one of the biggest things I would say, as I look back over our homeschool years, the times we just sat at the table, we had the Bible open and we read it, and I think it was Green Lake Press, I'm not even sure, but it had a list of questions, and you really should have read the questions, and all the way at the bottom it would say, you might want to skip this chapter if your children are, well, I never was the bright one that did that. So we had all these conversations, but I felt like the Lord opened those doors, and we dealt with all kinds of things and had great conversations and covered the Word, and it was just a great, beautiful thing, and I felt like the Lord just blessed that reading of His Word. We had one of our sons really struggled with reading, and one day it just flipped. You just keep praying about it. You just keep reading with them. You just keep presenting them with good literature. Now that one is like the avid reader, listens to audiobooks, reads like crazy, and he's in seminary. So, it's just, you never know what God has planned for him and what plans will unfold. As far as, I like to see children that can read. I think that's a great thing. It doesn't come perfectly for every child. So that's what you need to know as you're starting out homeschooling. If your child is struggling to get some things, that's okay. They're going to get it eventually. The reading's going to click in. God actually makes some people where it is effortless for them to learn to read. Other people, they really have to grow those groups and make connections for the reading to click. So I would say, don't stress out about things. Don't compare. Comparison's already been talked about. But when you look at somebody else and say, oh my goodness, this child's talking or this child's doing it, we start when they're babies. Don't compare your children to other people's children. We're all unique, we're all different, just like we all have different strengths and weaknesses. Our children are that way too, and so they're gonna do things at their own timing, in their own way. Math, I think, is important. I think y'all agree. You want them to be able to add and do all the things that they need to do. So when they're little, people say, what do you want to focus on? I would say get them reading, get them writing, get them doing math. A lot of homeschool families, writing is a huge issue. If you have these readers that are way up here, their ability to write is not way up there. And so they're like, I don't want to write, writing's too hard. So I would say when you have little ones, go out in the yard, find a critter that God made, start talking about it, get them to draw it, get them to write something about it. You probably won't be able to read what they wrote. Tell me what you wrote here. Oh, okay, and you write it down. And those are the coolest. My journals from when the kids were really little, those are the most special to me because they were enthralled with God's creation, and that's what I wanted for them. So anyway, I'd encourage those kind of things where you're exploring and getting them in awe and wonder of God's creation and what He's done. The Bible, one thing that I saw that's really, really cool, my brain's going blank on the lady's name, hard to give her credit, but there's a whole curriculum out there. But literally, it's just, you read the passage and it has this blank spot for them to stick figure draw the Bible story. That lady's family, those kids go, oh, that's David and Goliath, and this is what happened. They know the Bible. So if you are a believer and you want your kids to know the Bible, just open the Word, read it, and have them illustrate it, tell you about it. They'll learn the Bible better than anything. I had a whole bunch, but I think y'all have covered a lot, and I don't want to take too much time. I wanted to tell y'all, I asked my son who's in seminary, He's obsessed with all things classical, all things different reform stuff, the Wilsons, all these things. Just loves all of that. And I said, what would you tell brand new homeschool families? And this is what my Jason said. He said, parent, love, homeschool, and serve your children by faith. They will not magically turn into the God-fearers because you said the right thing, thought the right curriculum, or found the best co-op, etc. But God promises to bless labor done heartily in faith. Trust God. Do not trust him, and you put a blank. So whatever you fill in there, the curriculum, the extra activities, whatever it is, God will save your children. Whatever it is that you put in that blank a minute ago, that will ultimately fail your children if you put your trust and faith in that. So just to encourage you to be the parents that God's called you to be. God gave you these children. I always have people, when I would say at homeschool, oh, how did you do that? Oh, well, you were a teacher. And I'm like, God gave you. When you find out you're expecting that baby, you love that baby, you have a plan for that baby, that you know what you would like to see happen in their lives. He's equipped you already to homeschool your children. You've taught them everything they know up to this point. So I would encourage you, if you're the very best, you know your child, you know their needs, you know their strengths and weaknesses, and encourage them and bless those things, you know, that and it is good for them to be able to fail. I love that. You know, a lot of people never let their kids fail. So, you know, yeah, try it. Oh, that didn't work. What do you think? How can we problem solve that? So anyway, I had a whole bunch of junk to tell y'all, but I think it's been said. So
It's good. It's good. I'm gonna have Kimberly come on up, and again, she has a total different vantage point. She's a public school teacher. Currently at J Elementary, but she also is a homeschool mom. But one thing I was going to say while I was thinking with when Elisa was talking is you might be sitting here going, you know, like our family, we're not good at this, or we're not good at this. Well, guess what? That's why we're all in this together. It really does take a community to raise a child. Look out for other people's strengths. So, like, we have a strength of business, but we don't have a strength of, say, music. So we will not be your go-to for music. And so we seek out people in this community that are strong. Benji Powell is an amazing math student. He's at Whataburger every single night at 5 points. He's incredible. Now getting in with him is hard. He's a teacher at Central High School. He's a believer. He's amazing. You don't have to do it all yourself. You only do what only you can do well. If you try to do it all, you're going to suck at it all, right? So do the best stuff that you know how to do, and then let everybody else do it. So Kimberly, I actually met her at the Doll's house at a worship night, and what was interesting about her is that she was a public school teacher, a homeschool mom. She also is not super available, but she is approved in that PEP scholarship, so she's going to come in a couple days a week and tutor my children, but she also is going to keep her other job until we can all replace her income by hiring her as a tutor. And I just don't want you to look at that and be like, oh, well, you're not doing what Ms. Graham says, you're giving them to somebody. No, I know what my strengths are, and I know what my weaknesses are, and so Kimberly kind of filled the gap. But what I want you to say, what is your biggie as you see both sides of the coin?
So my husband and I are both public school teachers, and our kids are homeschooled, and people are like, whoa, and I'm like, yeah, think about that. So my second year of teaching, I was pregnant with my first baby, and 2 6-year-old boys were in the boys' bathroom doing highly inappropriate things. And I went home and said, I don't know what we're going to do, but we're not sending our kids to school. We have 6 years to figure it out. And so we have, and figured it out while working. And my husband was not a teacher 15 years ago. He went to college while we were homeschooling, and that actually helped us a bit because I was working full-time and he was able to homeschool and be a student himself. But we want our kids' hearts. What I would say, encouragement and advice is there are excellent teachers out there. There are good schools, but you can't control all the variables, and you have no idea what your kids are going to get exposed to while they're there. And then on top of that, there's not a single teacher, not teacher of the year, teacher of the district, teacher of the country, teacher of whatever, that is more invested in your children's education than you are. So whatever that may be, my first question is, what are your goals? What do you want for your kids? And that's what you have to ask yourself. What do you want for your kids, and then how are you going to get there? Curriculum can help. You don't have to get through it in 1 year. You bought something, I love it, I'm ready, I'm set to do this, and we got through the first 5 chapters this school year. It's still there for the next year. We've spent like 3 years on the same science curriculum in my family. Excuse me, I'm used to talking to kids. I don't like this adult thing. I never do well at Meet the Teacher night. The evaluator, I just want to reiterate what she said. The important educational things is your kids got to read no matter what they do as an adult. Basic math up to a little not basic math, depending on what they have to do or what they want to do as an adult, and the writing skills. And I just finished reading a really good book on writing. It's a book for teachers, Joy Write by Ralph Fletcher. And it's just like every kid hates to write. Here, honey, write a paragraph. No, I don't want to. It's so hard. What do I write? How do I do this? His book is very encouraging. Like, there's all kinds of writing. And to get them to want to do the hard stuff, it's good to start with the fun stuff and look at all this writing that we do. Pretend to send text messages on paper instead of, or write notes and fold them into the cute little origami things like you did when you were a kid. Write messages and shoot them as paper airplanes across at each other. Make signs, make posters, make marketing materials for the market. All of that is writing that can start to get that excitement so that when you're like, all right, we have to write this paragraph, it's not such a dreaded thing. Like, I'm a writer, I know how to write, I can do that. So good.
I want to ask her, why are we homeschooling? It is, I know we've said this several different ways. We want to protect, we want to keep our children's innocence. And like the situation that she was referring to, that is what you're doing when you're sending your child, really, to youth group. You want to get right down to it. Unless you know those parents and those children and what they're reading and what they're watching and everything that they're into, look out. Your children are going to get education that you don't want them to. And you want them to go to their wedding day and have their first kiss on the altar and be pure and innocent. And that is my job, is to keep that innocence alive and not sear their conscience. And that is really getting into their life, talking. Who's your friend? What are they doing? What are they talking about? What are you talking about? Okay, just really be purposeful, and because you're not there's no way to isolate your children. There's no way. We want them to take over the world. We want them to be overcomers, not be overwhelmed and overcome by the world.
And you might say that is not even practical to save your first kiss for the wedding day. Well, we've done it 3 times. We have 3 daughters, and they all did it. Mary Lou has most of hers. All of them that have married, save the first kiss. Is that a thus saith the Lord? No, I'm not saying you have to do that. What I'm saying though is raise your bar. Somebody mentioned prom to me the other day. There's homeschool prom. Really, there is homeschool prom. And we photographed both. We photographed Milton, Pace High, and homeschool prom. And see, we get to see the behind the scenes of what you guys don't see when you drop your precious little girl off with beautifully dressed, and then, all purity is gone after one night of prom because they get to see it all. Because their father didn't say, go back and put clothes on because we don't dress like that. And so what I'm saying is just raise your bar. If you're hanging around people that they're okay with that, stop hanging around them. Find new friends. They're out there. And so, Catherine, come up real quick. So this is Catherine Luckler. She's one of my favorite people. She's hilarious. We're also Ruby's friends. We met through CC. See, I actually am a decent homeschooler. I've done classical conversations. My children were even memory masters. Hello. I forgot about that. But anyway, I met her through CC. But what I love about Catherine is I think she's tried every single homeschool program and curriculum out there. Every year I feel like she's starting something different, which is great because it just shows that you don't have to stay in one lane. You don't have to say, I will always be an Abeka, or I will always be there's so many awesome things out there. But anyway, what's your biggie? What would you say to the homeschool mom?
Well, life skills is huge. When she was talking about work, I cannot express that importance enough. Now, I have a unique situation. I have a son with autism. He's 12. He does not learn like the rest of my children. His writing looks very much like a first grader. He's 12 though. But I learned watching him that he's an audible learner. He can memorize anything. I will read him something. I'm like, I want you to create a comic of what we're talking about. And he'll create each character going through everything of the history sentence. So you work with your children. You want them to love to learn. My son loves to be with his daddy. We have a farm. He goes out and he comes in and says, look at the sweat on my arm. I'm just so excited because his daddy has made that an exciting thing. Boy, we work hard, we play hard. I mean, back and forth. Work should be a joy. It should be fun. They need to love sweat. Sweat is great. It's glistening, I tell my daughters. But I work full time. I work 40 hours a week. My husband works 72 hours a week, fire chief. And I go into my office at home, and immediately I hear cooking going on in the kitchen. I hear the vacuum running. I have my daughter doing flashcards with my younger daughter. They run the house. I don't have a messy house. I used to, but every day the routine. They know they cannot get out of their room without getting dressed, making their bed. It's just one of those things we decided we cannot eat, we can't do this until your bed's made and you come out of the room. Was that perfect immediately? No, but now they do it every time. So I go in, I sign up for work at 7 a.m. and I already hear hustling and bustling, and it's just amazing. I walk out of my break and they're, hey, we're going ahead and doing an arts and crafts. I'm like, I love the idea of limiting electronics to the best of your ability because you're really turning off their creativity level. So don't think, oh, I'm so busy, I need to turn on a movie. Give them a pencil, give them a piece of paper, say create something, create a flower, do something, to draw your future house. Just give them something to let their creativity circuit and go. But I think just knowing your children and finding the way that they learn and going along with it. No child is the same, but we love it.
So good. So good. We're making memories, and I hope you're encouraged and inspired like I am, because I really am. I get inspired. So Lisa, come up, Curran. So she's going to talk about something quickly, and I can tell you that, because she can keep up with me. She probably talks just as much as me, if not more. She is one of my favorite storytellers. She can talk and talk and talk and talk, but you're like so entertained. She's hilarious. But she's going to talk about something that might be controversial. It is not going to be controversial in our house. We're not going to fight about this. I have friends on both sides of the coin, okay? I have those that think it is just straight from the pit of hell to take the scholarship from the government. I have other families who are like, hey, I'll bring on the $8,000 a kid. I don't care what you think. You do what you want to do. You can call and talk to me privately, and I'll tell you what I'm doing. I just wanted Lisa to be a face that you could say, can you answer my question about blah, 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 blah. There's a lot of resources out there. So they filmed us, and they basically put on the news that I was so excited that we finally have relief and money coming from the government to help me homeschool my children. That is garbage. I never said that. The guy said, do you think it's a great thing to have this PEP scholarship which I really didn't know hardly anything. I was like, sure, I mean, that's awesome. If the government's gonna give us money to help us homeschool our children, great. Now, is it a slippery slope? Sure, maybe. I don't know. I don't care. Whatever your husband and you think, if you think it's a slippery slope, then don't take it. I'm telling y'all, there's so many awesome resources. Trinity, raise your hand. So Trinity's back there. She's also a public school teacher. Previously, she now is at home, but I'm gonna hire her to do cooking classes with my children. Which she's amazing. That's what her thing was. But she can also do reading. She's a reading specialist, and so she has time and availability. So tutoring help. Trinity Reesberg, I highly recommend her. She has plenty of lots and lots of experience. But again, don't feel embarrassed. Like if you need a couple hours a week to just help you out, that would be a great person. Dina Kunkelman, right here. Raise your hand. Mom of 13 children. She has homeschooled all of them, well, for most of your married life. Some are in school now, but kind of going through. But anyway, she would be a great resource. She doesn't have a ton of time because she works at Chick-fil-A actually on Bayou Boulevard. But she would be a great person to, if you just need to hire somebody for a couple hours a week to do reading, tutoring, don't look down on people that do that. Elisa helped us out so much. McKenna would not be, and she's such a great reader now, but she wouldn't be where she's at if she just relied on me. Okay, so I just wanted to, was there anybody else? Raise your hand if there's anybody else that I...
Dan Adams teaches math, and he's looking for a couple.
Dan Adams, he's pastor of Redeemer, I think. So math tutor. Anybody else know of just awesome people that they could recommend?
So I have one, like, if anybody's interested in aviation education, like ground school for teens and tweens, my husband would like to start doing that.
Okay,
Right now,
aviation
local
training,
to the
okay.
area, So.
Sounds cool, sounds cool. Anybody else just like, hey, I know
What's
this is
your
awesome.
name?
This is Kelsey.
Kelsey.
10 weeks.
Okay, so go see her if you're interested in like aviation stuff. Anybody else just have an awesome resource that we need to all know about? So, okay. Are there any dads here that feel like they're seasoned homeschoolers that would like to give an encouraging speech, talk to the dads? Looking at dads. Anybody? If you do, jump up after Lisa. All right, Lisa Curran.
Hi, I'm Lisa. Okay, everybody else was so sweet and they were so fast, but it was so funny when Allison first started talking, I thought, this is going to be great because I can talk as fast as she can. So if this is a lot of overwhelming information, I will not leave right as soon as we're done. Like, I won't sneak out the door, I promise. So pull me aside and if
We have coffee for you.
And I also sucked down 16 ounces of straight up Americanos, so that was also going to talk fast. And just so you know, this is the only coffee that my body can tolerate and drink, so if you haven't had clean cup coffee, tonight is your night, and you should definitely do that. Okay, but there were a couple of things while other moms were talking that I just wanted to give very, very briefly, like some really practical things. Some have happened to us, but some, it's just the process of going through homeschooling. When I graduated, I think there were like 277 graduating students in my class. I know 4 that are using their degrees. That's it. That's such a strong disappointment to me, to leave high school and go to college and then leave with that debt, and 4 that I know are using their degrees. I started with my son Nathan in kindergarten. I owned my own business and I wanted to be able to have him tag along, which was incredible. And it was kindergarten, and I thought, no one can mess up kindergarten, right? So at the time, I didn't know many people that were homeschooling, and I also thought it was a cult. So I didn't want anything to do with that. And now I'm really glad I joined that. So I knew nothing, and I went to Books A Million, and I spent $13 on a book that was called What Your Kindergartner Needs to Know. And he mastered that entire book. And then we lived downtown Pensacola, but we would drive by Scenic Heights Elementary School, and we would stare out the window and say, that school is so beautiful. And I'm like, it's nice, it's nice. Can I go there? And I'm like, I loved him being with me. It was just our special time. Because life worked out the way it did a long, long time ago, I was for the opportunity at the time. So he goes and he starts first grade. He has an incredible teacher, and I get called in. And I thought, here we go, because I know this is where the condemnation is going to happen. And she says, did you homeschool kindergarten? Yes, ma'am, I did. And I was just ready, like don't be upset with whatever's about to come out of her mouth. And she said, I thought so, because Nathan knows all of the answers before I can finish the question. And I'm like, mom did, right? And so she actually was like, he knows the answers so well that it wasn't this, it was just like blurting out the answers. And so I'm like, yes, okay. So the school was really nice, and I thought, let's try this. I missed him a lot, but I saw that he was having a great time. And so second grade, and I get called into the dean's office of an elementary school, and he said, I wanted to talk to you. We have some resources, and I thought, oh great, I love learning, I love resources. So we were thinking maybe Nathan needs some medication. And I'm like, wah, wah. And I said, I don't really understand where this is coming from. Like, I haven't been pulled into the second grader teacher's class. I haven't been informed about any problems. Oh, no, it's not that. Is he getting out of a seat? This is when like the ADHD thing was like really coming to light. A lot of moms, a lot of teachers were struggling. And so I thought, I didn't want my child to maybe be part of the problem for a classroom. Is he getting up out of his chair without asking permission? No. Is he blurting out answers without raising his hand? No. Is he disrupting the class? No. I don't see what the problem is. What does he do? Oh, he just daydreams. So I had this little conference with the teacher, and I'm walking through. The classrooms are so cute, guys, okay? Elementary school classrooms are cute. And I'm looking for his desk. They all have these little plastered names on their desk, and I can't find Nathan. And I said, where's Nathan's desk? And she says, that one over there in the corner facing the wall. And I said, how long has he been over there? And she said, since the beginning of the school year. And I said, when does he get to be integrated back into the classroom? This was baffling to me. What is this, 6 years old?
No.
6? Yeah. So I take him home that day, and he's in the back seat, and I turn a little rearview mirror, and I said, hey, Nate, when you're in class and you're like staring out the window and daydreaming, what are you thinking about? And without hesitation, looking out the window, he said, what it would be like to jump out of a helicopter. Yes, because he's a 6-year-old boy. Like, everything in me was screaming, you're coming home with me. And so he did, and then that was it. That was just it. That was a long-winded story. Here's the point. You're going to get really rude comments. Like, if you're not already a homeschooler, I've had people ask me, are you sure you're qualified to do this? And I cannot stress enough to you, if this is your first time or you're just contemplating it, because your tiny people are still tiny. You are the most qualified, the most qualified human being to teach your children. Okay, if you sucked at math, can I say suck?
Yep.
I did.
My children can't.
Oh, that's right. I didn't do well in math. Do you know what's incredible now? I'm doing math that I did really poorly in high school because I've been teaching it to my children all these years. So by the time we get to Algebra 2, I'm like, I know how to do this now, and so I'm capable of teaching it to them. You are the most qualified person. Recently, I had a lady ask my 6-year-old, what grade are you in? And she looked up at me. And you're going to get that a lot, because who cares about what grade your kids are in? That's not really how we gauge the next level of our children. And I reassured her, I said, it's okay, you're first grade. She's like, first grade. And the lady said, oh, do you homeschool? And I said, I do, all of my children. And she said, shame on you. Yeah. So I'm really good at doing this with my face. I practice that a lot. You can too in the mirror when these comments are said to you, and they will be said, and you just turn and walk away, all right? Never feel like you have to finish every lesson in a book. Raise your hand if you ever finished an entire book in high school. No, none of us. Oh, okay. One of each. Like you walk in and it's chapter 1 on the first week of school, and then by spring break it's like, go to chapter 9. we're gonna flip through that. Don't ever feel like you have to finish an entire lesson or an entire book. And on top of that, you start this curriculum, maybe it's a backup, maybe it's master books, maybe it's math you see, and you get going and you're like, well, we're on chapter 7 and they're not getting it. Put that book away. And I'm about to tell you how you can get more books for free. So keep that in mind. Please don't feel pressure to go design the ultimate Pinterest schoolroom, because I did that. And it was glorious in every way, and it was organized and color-coded because I'm the A personality. And you know where my kids did school? On their bellies on the floor in the living room. Yeah, maybe sitting on the counter sometimes with their reading to me while I'm cooking breakfast. Like, they're gonna be comfortable and they're gonna find their little nook. And that is where they're gonna learn their best. I did hear someone once give the advice of maybe don't have them do their school in their beds, because bed is for sleeping. And if they get in the habit of work in the bed, then when they do go to bed, the subconscious is like, it's work time, it's learning time, and then they can't shut their brains off. So experiment with your children and see if that's true. Moms, get your husbands involved. Homeschooling is not the mom's job. I thought that for the longest time, and then there was this new math that we were doing with the girls, and there was something either about the way that I was teaching or they were learning, whatever they were maybe not gleaning from me, and I felt bad. So Ryan would come home and I'm like, because you are good at this. And they got it. It got them through that next little mastery that they needed to, so that I could continue on. Get your husbands involved. If they're really good at a subject, if they loved grammar and you're like, no, I don't care where a semicolon goes, then get them to help with that. So always involve the dads. All right, last little thing. You guys, life is just gonna keep happening, okay? Life is not going to stop because now you've decided to homeschool. 2 years ago, I was pregnant, and at 21 weeks, my water broke, and I ended up living in the hospital for 3.5 months, and then in the NICU on a vinyl couch for another month. And we kept homeschooling. And my husband, like, full speed ahead, he did his absolute best. And then he said to me one day, I miss you.
That is true.
You're so good at this. And you know what I told him? I mean, I would be on, like, video chat doing school. They would bring their books up to the hospital, and Rebecca and I were neighbors in the PSU with our babies. We'd go to the family room and pull them out. So I didn't want them to feel like every visit with mom was school, so we didn't do it very often. But I remember I kept saying, they are going to get behind. 100%, they're gonna get behind. And I don't care. Like, we're gonna make memories while I'm living up, and I nicknamed it Hotel California because I checked in and I never got out of there. Okay, so here we go. Allison gave me a very, very specific topic that I want to talk to you about. I make notes because she's right, I could just keep talking. If you ever want to have coffee, it will last 6 hours. So I'll give you my number after. All right, my husband Ryan and I have 8 children. 7 are living in the house, and I've been homeschooling this year. I'm homeschooling 6 of them, and we've been homeschooling for 21 years. That number, when I was typing it out, I'm like, that is so impressive. Do not be impressed at all by 21 years. I'm still learning things, and I took notes from the other ladies that were up here. And so I feel like as your children are progressing through, so are you. Like, you get to progress with them, and you get to learn along the way. And so much of this time you think you're teaching your children. Oh, my friend, they're teaching you. Like, they're teaching you patience. They're teaching you more about your character than you thought there was to discover. So keep that in mind. Lots and lots of grace for your kids, but also it's really nice when they reciprocate that grace for you as well. I never thought I would be a homeschool mom. Again, who can mess up kindergarten, and I excel at that. It's probably my favorite rebellion in life that I've ever participated in. Like, rebelling against public school has been like my hurrah moment, and I'm glad I continued with it. Okay, one more show of hands. How many of you currently homeschool? Like, this is not new to you. Okay, the reason I like those hands up is because all of you that are not, those are the people. Like, this is such a beautiful networking event that now you have people that you don't have to do it alone. And I think so many years ago, a lot of us were doing it alone, and then we found co-ops, and then maybe that didn't mesh with us. And so you have this camaraderie in one room tonight where you get to find, even if you find one person and exchange one number that you get to go home with, that's perfect. How many of you are desiring? Like maybe your kids aren't even old enough yet, you're desiring to homeschool. Yay, okay, she's right over here. Kelsey's right over here. Kelsey will collect the most phone numbers tonight. Okay, so I'm gonna talk tonight about this new home education scholarship. Here's what it's called, and then we're gonna shorten it. Florida Tax Credit Personalized Education Program. We're gonna call it PEP, P-E-P. So if you don't know that and you're a note taker like me, P-E-P, the PEP scholarship. This is basically this, now it's been in existence for a while. One of the categories is UA, unique abilities. And so it's been around a long time for those families, and now DeSantis has like opened this up. Basically what this is it's a scholarship program and you're gonna get an educational savings account, ESA, okay? They're not gonna write you a check. They're not gonna deposit this money into your bank account. When you get this, when you're awarded and then you're funded, which I'll go into in a minute, this money is held in this savings account online on their website, okay? So, anybody heard about this already? Okay, awesome.
From you.
Yes, awesome. Did anybody use it last year? Like, hands way, way up. Here's why I like that. Anybody who you just saw raise their hand, ask them too. Because as much as that I wrote down and as much as I'm gonna talk, they're going to have something better, they're gonna have something more, they're gonna go in a different direction, so please pull them aside too. Okay, I'm not an expert in this program, I just used it, and I used it for 5 students last year. A lot of it is, there was a learning curve last year, and a lot of things, they kind of tweak things here and there, and so sometimes you go with, no, everybody's doing this, they're like, no, they just changed that last month, so don't do that anymore. And so that's part of the learning curve as well. It has been a blessing to us. Actually, I was shocked when Allison kind of messaged me and told me that it's controversial, and I think the disservice that was done in that news clip probably added to the controversy of taking money. Here's what this money is. If your child goes to a public school, this is already money that the state is giving that school for your child, which is fantastic. But then I always wondered, why am I buying printer paper and crayons? Like, do you know how much money that school just got for my child to go there? Now, it's probably new desks and new chairs and things like that, and I'm sure the funds are not used appropriately. And so what this is it's this tax credit money that now is being given to you to utilize to home educate your child. That's all it is. It's the same money that the public schools would have gotten. I have several papers here. What I'll do when I'm done talking, I'll find an area and I'll kind of lay them out. So if you're super interested in this, just go by and just take pictures of these. I've highlighted things that are important. There's a FAQ that you can kind of look at and see, is this something I'm really interested in? So what is PEP? Personalized Education Program. It's a scholarship for eligible students who qualifies. This is open to any child K through 12 that's not already enrolled in a public or private school, and they just have to turn 5 by September of the year that you want them. So if it was this year, they need to be 5 by September 1st. How do you apply? Ready? I'm going to say this a couple times, that way if you're taking notes. StepUpForStudents.org. That's the website. StepUpForStudents.org. You're going to go there, and as long as you see that red apply button, you're going to click it, and you're just going to go through the steps. One of the papers here is like the required identification forms. Super easy. Take a picture of it and gather those up at the house. So how much do you get? I also have it, it's per county, so it's different. What I've noticed is that younger grades get more, and then as they excel through the high school grades, they get less. And you'll notice if you do, especially if you do have the scholarship, and those of you that kind of go shopping later, you'll know why. Younger kids need more manipulatives. They need creative play, whereas a high school student is more, maybe they want the guitar, okay, and they need the curriculum and books. So that's why the numbers are different. Basically, it ranges from 7,300 to 8,100. That's that range there that you're getting. And I'm not gonna lie, listen, when I first got all 5 of the kids, I'm like, that's $35,000. Like, you guys, you can't spend it in a year. It's just near impossible to spend it in a year, because also you only have that much space in your house. What more could you possibly just be ordering and buying and putting in the house? So how do you spend the funds? There are 2 terms that you'll end up getting familiar with. You're gonna be awarded and then you're gonna be funded. Awarded means you filled out all the stuff correctly and you got a spot in the scholarship. Funded means now the money has been deposited in your account. Does that make sense? So last year there was this big thing like, oh my gosh, I'm not funded yet. I know, because the money hasn't been allocated to be given out yet. So that was a big thing. Once you get funded, you'll log in and you'll have this this button that says My Scholar Shop, MSS. That's what we're all calling it, MSS. It is like the ultimate homeschool Amazon. The beautiful thing about this is that everything that's in your MSS is already pre-approved. So you're not asking for permission to buy this desk. You're not asking for permission to buy, what is Cozy Coupe, little, like, the kids get in, it's a Flintstone car, that's what it is. Like, all that stuff's already in there, so you don't need permission to get those things. So a lot of people want to go on Amazon. Maybe they want to go to Walmart. Maybe they saw something at Academy and they're like, is this covered? Will I get reimbursed for purchases made outside of MSS? The answer is yes. However, there are limitations. But what they give you is a parent purchasing guide. You print that out, you just kind of read through there. I do know this now, they just came out with a new purchasing guide for the 24-25 year. So don't quote me on this, but last year, 2 things that were like this major big deal that were not covered. Computers, laptops, not covered, and then anything mounted to the wall. So you could get these beautiful bookcases, but if you wanted to shop on IKEA and get bookshelves that like mount to the wall, those were not reimbursed. So here's what I tell you. If you want that item, if you were already going to spend the money on it, buy that beloved item. You can submit reimbursement, but just know you wanted it that bad, you may not get the money back for it. So just keep that in mind. But if you buy it in the MSS, it's already covered. Okay, so the big thing, the deal is you're not required to get pre-testing. Like there's no, where is my child? What grade should I put them in? Especially if you're pulling a 4th grader out, you're like, are they 4th grade? Do I just continue on with 5th? There's no assessment you have to do to get this scholarship. However, at the end of the year, there is testing that's required. A lot of parents were nervous because a lot of our kids, when you've been homeschooling this long, we don't take standardized tests. Half the time, I'm not getting the test in the back of the curriculum that we did. I'm like, you did good, let's move on. So the testing was a little bit nerve-wracking. However, inside the MSS, there are about 20 pre-approved tests that you can choose from. So what I did for about 3 months is I just followed these ladies talking because they were purchasing them and testing their kids ahead of me, so then I could be like, oh, your kid hated that? Not getting that one. All right, we ended up getting this one called MAPS, exactly how it sounds, M-A-P-S. It's sort of not AI, but ish. So it starts out really easy, and as your child answers the questions correctly, it gets just a little bit harder, just a little bit harder, just a little bit harder. The beautiful thing is, these are not pass or fail tests. If your child does not do well on this wave scale that they give you at the end with their results, if they didn't do well, and in your eyes you're like, oh my gosh, you just failed the entire year, what have you been doing all year? It does not mean you're not going to get the scholarship the following year. It's not pass or fail to them. So for my students who had never gone in and taken a standardized test, a normal C-test, I don't know what they call it, I just told them that. I'm like, you're going to do the best you can, and it's going to be amazing, and then we'll see how this goes. So one of my daughters begged for school at 3 years old, and all I had was like kindergarten and 1st grade stuff, and I thought, she's just going to scribble in this. It's totally fine. It'll keep her busy next to me. And in 2 days, she finished the kindergarten book. And so the next week, I gave her the 1st grade book. And so she'll be graduating this year at 16. She's a senior now. She went so fast on her math test that it shut her down because it thought she was just like Christmas treeing all the answers. And so I had to call and say, hey, we got logged out. And there was this cute little sloth that said, please slow down, you're going too fast. And she ended up scoring more than you can actually score. Like, how'd you get 105? I don't know how you did that, but she just knew it. So that's the beauty too. I have a highly academic daughter who's gonna graduate years ahead of time, and I have a daughter who I was freaking out thinking, she is dyslexic and I don't know how to help her, and this is driving me bonkers. And so, really quick, what I did for that daughter struggling is I just boxed up all of her curriculum and we just went backwards. And I didn't tell her we went backwards, so she didn't feel like I'm a baby now. Nope. Let's just go back and build our foundation better. So that's the beautiful thing about that. Okay, so testing is easy, guys. Don't even worry about that. Okay, if this sounds like something you're interested in, my strongest encouragement is like, make a plan. Like, go home tonight, think about this. Does it sound like something you want to do? Get on stepupforstudents.com, kind of click on everything, see if this is what you want. Now, last year they had 20,000 spots, and a little over 18,000 were taken. This year they've opened up 60,000 spots. So when I contacted them, kind of in preparation for this, kind of, can you tell me how many are left so I'd be able to come with you with like this spectacular number? She said, unfortunately, it's still available. I don't know how many spots are already taken. So I highly encourage you to at least make the decision. If you change your mind later, you can contact them and you can kind of cancel your scholarship before you spend any money. But I highly suggest you get on that. I also wanted to add that current awarded students, so if you are using it and you log in, it already says awarded, you guys are going to get first quarter funds, which start depositing around August 15th. So those of you tonight, you're like, this sounds like something I'd like. What on earth could I do with $7,300 for my fourth grader? It's incredible, you guys. You will probably make the cut for second quarter, which is in November. So don't feel bad about that. You know, every year we start after Labor Day. Like, I don't start when the school system starts. And I had a daughter begging, can we just please start the first week of August? And I'm like, no, I'm not ready. Like, your stuff has come in already, but I'm not ready. So you start when you want, and you go as long as you want, and that's not a big deal. Okay, because of time, here's what I did for you, but I'm gonna leave it in the back. I did all the homework for you so you guys would kind of know what can I buy. Okay, there are categories, and a lot of these things it's super simple. You go and you click on a category like backpacks. There are 210 blue items, you guys. Like, the shopping experience is endless, and you'll love it, and you'll stay up way past when your kids go to bed. I am going to name off just a couple of vendors, because some of you seasoned homeschoolers, or if you've heard some of us talk about like master books, Abeka, things like that, maybe some of these will be like, oh good, they have that, because I was thinking about buying that anyway. Apologia, Beautiful Feet, Demi Learning, which is Math UC and Spelling UC are in there. They've got a whole film school. They've got Homeschool Hive, the KiwiCo subscription boxes, those are all in there. Every cooking subscription you can imagine, it's all in there. They've got Radish Kids. They've got this app called Readability. You pay for it, you download it to your phone or tablet. It's strictly for reading. The AI, like the system in there, recognizes your child's voice, so they'll kind of input their voice, and it will correct their reading as they go. It was designed specifically for dyslexic children, so it would kind of give them a burst of encouragement and like, I'm doing good. Sunlight Curriculum teaching textbooks, Veritas Press, Timberdoodle, National Autism Resources are in there. They are their own vendor. So if that is you, you just click on that and you get all of these incredible things, guys, like chairs that hang from the ceiling, so they can have something. They've got autism like chew necklaces and things. Like the expanse of things that they've made available to us has been incredible. I don't view it as taking money from the government. I pay taxes every year, and I am delighted to pay taxes for public schools, because my dear friends are public school teachers and they do not make a living wage. It is not enough for teaching our students in the community. But the fact that now I get a tax credit so I can teach my own children is enormous, and it's been a blessing. If you have questions, I'm going to leave papers back there, but please contact me, get a hold of me, and I'd love to chat about it, because I seriously can keep going.
Real quick, thank you guys for coming. Does anyone have questions? Everybody all at once, if you have a question, raise your hand.
Anybody have a question that would apply to everybody?
Okay, looks
If
like
you have
nobody
specific,
has
you can
any
obviously come talk to
questions.
us.
So, all right.
Yeah, and I just wanted to tell you
You have
guys,
questions?
honestly, our heart was just because I want you to leave encouraged. I want you to make connections. That's kind of my love language. I love connecting people. We do have a house church. So if you're interested, if you want to come and visit us, a lot of the people here come to our house church. We just sit around here, we do worship, we read through one chapter, and then Daniel kind of leads discussion. It's very father-driven, very family-driven. We all do it together. We don't have nursery, even though my children right now have children back in my bedroom. We do not do that during church. And then we just do a fellowship lunch. So we just feel like that's been really a blessing to our family. I'll also plug Worship Night at the Dolls, awesome place to meet other homeschoolers. Above Ruby's Retreat, come see me. I'll be glad to send you the registration. I want to help you guys. I want you to, feel like you have people. Because yes, I know, a lot of awesome families, but you may not. You may be like, I have no idea. I'm too shy to even meet anyone new. But I just want to, have you have eyes on somebody. How many of you guys, show of hands, would like to do this again and invite maybe other people? Okay. So I might reach out to a couple churches around here and see if anybody would house us. I love being here, but my guess is something like this could grow. There's a lot of homeschool groups, and that's great. We're not trying to replace them, but I benefit nothing. I'm not benefiting at all. I just really wanted to connect. We're so short on time, so I'm not going to take the time to do it. But I was going to drag McKenna up here so that she can kind of tell you, her perspective. But I encourage you to talk to her. Anybody else have anything they want to share, say? Okay. Yes.
Yes. Just love, you guys. Love. If that's not why you're doing this, if that's not why you're teaching your kids, it's probably the quickest way to fail. You've got to be rooted in love, and you've got to be coming from a standpoint of love in everything you do here. And so if you want to teach them all the states and capitals, and that's because you love them and that's important to you, then do that and enjoy it and build those relationships with your kids. If that's how you want, if that's what they want, if this is a mutual thing, but it has to be in love. The quickest way to fail homeschooling is to let something other than love of your children motivate you. And when I say love, I don't mean the kind of love like you see on TV today. I mean love as in an act of the will accompanied with motion that acts on behalf of the recipient. So love your kids and let that be why you're doing this.
We're going to close in prayer. You guys stay, go get coffee, eat this junk. I will not eat probably half of it, but eat it or take it home. We're like weird, crunchy, healthy people, but you can eat it and you can bring it home to your children. No, actually, a lot of it's awesome. Dana's good. Yeah.
Can I say?
Yes.
I want to share one thing. We're not experts in homeschooling at all. We have 5 kids together, and she actually was in the hospital with Lisa as well. But husbands, when you come home after work, I know you're super tired and everything, and you don't feel like doing anything. Ask her for what she needs. Get to the table if one of the kids are actually struggling with something, and actually ask her. And also, it will build some gratitude as well.
Always good. Always good. I'm so encouraged to see so many dads here. I was laughing with a couple of you guys. I'm like, I bet you think you're here and you are suckered in and you're going to be the only guy, and it's like a baby shower kind of group. But the dads are. I'm telling you, I send our children to him all the time with good questions. Okay, let's end in prayer and get you guys in AC.
And I'm going to reiterate that dads, especially moms, encourage this to do a Bible time every day, twice a day if you can. And it'll be the most important thing that you do every day. And I think you will solve many, many of your problems in your family. It's where you hammer everything out. It's where you work things out. And you do it according to Scripture. Dear God, just thank you for this day and this time to come together. God, we just give us wisdom as we all move forward in our families in each way that we go, God. And we just give you all the praise, God. We just take faith in you that you know everything. You have it all planned out, God. And we just take action. And we pray all these things. We give you all the glory in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. All right. Enjoy.